Has the Canadian housing market bottomed out? According to new data released by the Canadian Real Estate Association, home buying in Canada just hit a 14-year low for the month of January. At a national level, the average home price in Canada was down 18.3% over last year, coming in at $612,000. On a month-over-month basis, CREA says the sales volume from December 2022 to January 2023 was down by 3%. But do these numbers really tell the whole story across the country? Hey there, it's Sernoskie with LePage Team Realty in Ottawa. In this video, I want to talk to you about the latest headlines that you may be seeing about the Canadian housing market. For the past year, the Bank of Canada had been aggressively raising interest rates in their efforts to cool off inflation. If we're going to compare market activity from last January to this January, we need to keep in mind some important facts. Last January, interest rates were still at a historically low 0.25%. There was also a ton of pent-up demand coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the market was experiencing a dire supply shortage. This led to intense bidding wars and astronomical housing prices, which peaked between February and March. Since the Bank of Canada began hiking interest rates last March, each increase resulted in reduced demand as more and more buyers became priced out of the market. Ever since last fall, many buyers have been sitting on the sidelines. With uncertainty surrounding interest rates and increased cost of living challenges, a lot of buyers chose to take a wait-and-see approach. For my market center in Ottawa, this was apparent in October and November when sales were down 40% plus year over year. On January 26th, the Bank of Canada announced that they would be putting a pause on additional rate increases. Since then, we've already been seeing activity change in the local market. Properties are now even receiving multiple offers, something we haven't seen since early last year. With more clarity surrounding interest rates, more buyers are now willing to jump back into the market. This obviously has yet to be reflected in the latest data, and the upcoming February stats should be really interesting. Doom and gloom headlines would suggest that the Canadian housing market is in a free fall, but comparing the current market to that of the last couple of years is not necessarily accurate. Just this week, I saw an article that was circulating about the Canadian housing market and that it could drop by 30% or more this year. But not everyone realizes that they're actually talking about a 30% reduction since the height of the market, which was last February or March. Since last March, the Ottawa housing market has already dropped by 21%, so this report would only suggest an additional 9% reduction, not the 30% as per the headline. Ottawa is a market in Canada that is not expected to see price depreciation this year, with LePage projecting a 2% increase by the end of the year. Since November, housing prices in Ottawa are down by only half a percentage point. January is also typically a slower time in Canadian real estate, with the anticipation of the spring housing market coming. In Ottawa, the 5-year average for unit sales in January is 606. If we look at the year-over-year sales figures from January 2022 to 2023, it's a 35% decrease. But if we compare to the 5-year average, it's only a 25% drop. Sales activity from December to January was actually up by 1%, but nationally it was down 3%. The biggest factor contributing to decreased sales activity is without a doubt the interest rates. Over the past 10 years, interest rates have typically been hovering below 2%. The COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in very skewed statistics, and in my opinion, year-over-year comparisons are not a good indicator of the market. Interest rates are expected to remain high throughout the year, but if the Bank of Canada decides to hold them, it will bring much needed stability to the market. That's something we're already starting to see with their latest announcement. If you have any questions about the Ottawa housing market or thinking about buying or selling, please don't hesitate to get in touch or to discuss how it can help you achieve your real estate goals.